Welcome back, my friends, to The Mortals, the place where we tear down the walls brick by brick, peeling back the raw, chilling layers of life's most harrowing moments. And here we dive into the strange, the dark, and the unexplainable. Stories of near death, of loss, and mysteries that linger in the shadows of survival long after this episode ends. I'm Nathan Morris. I'm your guide through tales that's going. I'm Nathan Morris, your guide through tales. I'm Nathan. I'm your guide through tales that are going to grip you and make you wonder what's really happening and out there. But before we plunge into today's darkness, I've got a little cautionary tale for you. If you're new here or haven't hit that follow button yet, beware, because rumor has it, if you don't follow the Mortals, you're going to find yourself at a family reunion. You're going to be spilling gravy all over Great Aunt Mildred's heirloom tablecloth. She's going to haunt your dreams when she goes. Save yourself the eternal side-eye. Hit follow right now. Join our community of shadowed souls. And new episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday, so set a reminder to keep the chills coming. Tie a string around your finger, whatever you got to do. Today, I've got two stories that are going to make your heart pound and your mind race. Two real, lesser-known accounts of survival that are so staggering, you're going to be left questioning not just how, but why they made it through. One involves a man trapped in a nightmare of his own home, saved by something beyond comprehension, and the other, a young woman caught in a horrifying act of violence at her school, defying death in a way that defies logic. But before we dive in, I want you to know that you should listen with discretion. Our first story takes us to this quiet suburb in Springfield, Missouri in the late fall of 2009. It's November 12th. It's crisp. There's an overcast day, the kind where the air bites just enough to remind you that winter's coming and around the corner. In this modest two-story home on this cul-de-sac, we meet a 38-year-old man named Daniel. Not his real name, but we're going to call him that for this story. Daniel was a single dad, a mechanic by trade, with a 10-year-old daughter whose name is Emily, who was his entire world. He'd built a steady life after a very rough divorce, working long hours at a local garage to keep the bills paid, and Emily in her favorite dance classes. And their home was a fixer-upper, a place that Daniel poured his sweat into, patching walls, tinkering with old appliances to make it this safe haven. But on this day, that haven would turn into a death trap. It started as an ordinary Thursday evening. Emily was at a sleepover with a friend, leaving her dad Daniel with a rare night to himself. And around 7 o'clock p.m., after a long shift at work, he decided to tackle a small project in the basement, a flickering light fixture that had been bugging him for weeks. The basement was a cluttered maze of storage boxes. Picture that. Tools, half-finished repairs, with a concrete floor and a single bulb casting long, jagged shadows. Daniel, dressed in a worn flannel and jeans, he grabbed his toolbox, he grabbed a screwdriver and this stepladder, and he got to work. I mean, he's done electrical fixes before. It was not a big deal, just a flickering light, a tweak. Here, just a quick tweak to the wiring. The air down in the basement, of course, was damp. It smelled of mildew and motor oil, and the silence was broken only by the faint hum of the furnace in the back corner. Daniel climbed to the ladder, unscrewed the fixture's cover, and started poking at the wires with his screwdriver, his focus narrowing to the task at hand. He's done this before. But that's when it happened. A spark. Very small at first, a tiny flash of blue. It erupted from the exposed wiring. Daniel flinched, but before he could pull back, the spark ignited something far worse. Unbeknownst to Daniel, a tiny leak from a nearby can of paint thinner, left open from a project weeks ago, had pooled near the base of the ladder, and the fumes, invisible and heavy, had been lingering in the poorly ventilated space. That spark, that was all it took. A flame roared to life, a sudden inferno exploding around the ladder's base, and it engulfed Daniel's legs in a matter of seconds. He screamed, this raw scream, as the fire bit into his jeans and it seared his skin. Instinct kicked in. He tried to jump off the ladder, but his foot caught on the ladder's step and he crashed to the concrete floor, and the impact knocked the wind out of him. He didn't get knocked out, but those moments where you can barely catch your breath, that's what's happening to him. And the fire spread with terrifying speed, feeding on the clutter in the basement, cardboard boxes, old rags, a wooden shelf, and it turned the entire place, the basement, into a blazing trap. Daniel scrambled to his knees. Pain is shooting through his legs. The smell of burning flesh is now mixing with the smoke. His flannel was singed. His hands are blistered from trying to bat at the flames. The heat was absolutely suffocating. It's this wall of orange and black that's closing in, and the smoke is stinging his eyes and it's blurring his vision to near nothing. To find the steps to go upstairs is getting impossible. He coughs. He's choking on the toxic air, and his lungs are burning as if they were on fire themselves. And the only exit, of course, are the stairs, the staircase across the room, but the path is not only blocked, but he can barely see, and this growing curtain of flames is just barreling toward him. The walls are like this living thing. He's trapped. He's alone. He's in a space that no one would think to check on for hours, maybe days, because Emily, she's at a friend's house and wouldn't be home until tomorrow. There are no neighbors who would hear his cries through the thick walls in the basement and the quiet of night. Statistically, survival, especially in a confined fire like this, no immediate help is around, is zero. Most succumb to smoke inhalation within just moments, long before the burns would claim them. Daniel had maybe 5 minutes before the carbon monoxide and heat would shut his body down. He was a dead man, or so it seemed. Could you imagine the raw terror of Daniel's situation? He's on the floor, flames are roaring around him. The heat is so intense it feels like his skin is melting. His legs are absolutely charred. Second-degree burns are already forming. The pain is a constant scream in his mind. Every single breath is this battle. Smoke is filling his throat and his lungs, thick and bitter to taste, makes him gag and choke and vomit. His chest is heaving for oxygen. It's not there. His vision is swimming. The basement is this hellscape of flickering shadows and blinding orange. He crawls toward the stairs, so he thinks, dragging his injured legs, but the fire's moving faster. A shelf is now collapsing right in front of him with a crash, sending embers raining down onto him. He shields his face. A piece of burning wood grazes his arm, and he howls. The sound is obviously lost in the inferno. He's disoriented. The smoke is so dense that he can't tell up from down. His mind is foggy as hypoxia is setting in. His brain is starving for air. Thoughts become fragmented, and there's panic, but Emily, he thinks, her name is a lifeline, a reason to keep moving, but his body is betraying him. His strength ebbs, limbs are heavy as lead, and he collapses against the wall. The concrete cool for just a fleeting second before the heat seeps through. Death is close. He can feel it. A weight is pressing down, and he is being told to let go. Then in the suffocating chaos, there's something impossible that cuts through. It's not a sound, but this sensation, this sudden and inexplicable calm, like a hand on his shoulder, steadying him. His eyes, half shut, snap open, though he doesn't see anything but the smoke. And then he hears it, a voice, deep and resonant, not from the fire or the house, but from nowhere, everywhere, inside maybe, echoing in his core. Get up, move left. It's not a shout, it's not panic, but it's commanding. It's like a father who's guiding a child through a storm or when they first start riding a bicycle. Daniel freezes. His ragged breaths are hitching. There's no one there. He's alone, or so he thought. His mind reels. Is this delirium, the last trick of my dying brain? But the voice comes again, and it's urgent. Left, now, there's the way. His heart slams against his ribs. Adrenaline is spiking through the haze. Part of him screams it's a lie, a hallucination, but the other part, the part that's clinging to any shred of last hope, it obeys. And he turns left, crawling blindly. His blistered hands are scraping the concrete, his pain a distant roar as the voice anchors him. The fire rages, a wall of heat at his back, but he moves, guided by this unseen force. Go under, the voice is now saying, and through the smoke he feels a gap, a low crawl space beneath a collapsed table, a space that he hadn't seen, shouldn't have known, was there. He squeezes through it, splinters tearing at his skin. The heat is singeing his hair, his eyebrows, but the flames are thinner here. The smoke, marginally less choking. His lungs seize each gasp as this knife, but the voice doesn't stop there. It says to keep going up. He doesn't understand. He can't see, but he feels this shift, the incline of the stairs. Somehow just ahead, the fire having parted for this fleeting moment, as if it's held back by some sort of barrier. And Daniel drags himself up, step by agonizing step, the wood scorching under his palms, under his forearms, until he reaches the top, collapsing against the basement door. It's locked. He'd shut it to keep drafts out, but with a strength that he didn't know he had, he slams his shoulder against it, the lock giving way with a crack. Daniel tumbles into the kitchen, the cooler air a shock against his burned skin. He's not safe yet. Smoke is billowing behind him. The fire is climbing the stairs, but he's out of the inferno's heat. He crawls to the sink, dousing his legs with water, the pain a white-hot scream. And then he staggers to the back door, collapsing onto the grass outside. The night air is a mercy, cold and sharp as he gulps it down, coughing up black soot, vomiting, spitting. Neighbors are alerted by the smoke that's now visible against the dark sky. They rush over. They see Daniel. They call 911. Firefighters arrive within just minutes, dousing the blaze before it consumes the entire house, though the basement is a charred ruin. Paramedics find Daniel conscious, barely, lying outside, his legs and hands severely burned, his lungs damaged from smoke inhalation, and he's rushed to Mercy Hospital in Springfield, where doctors are stunned that he's alive. "You shouldn't have made it," one doctor tells him, shaking his head. "Not with those burns, not with that much smoke. Most would have passed out in under 3 minutes down there." Daniel spends weeks in recovery, enduring skin grafts and physical therapy, battling nightmares of fire and smoke. And his daughter Emily, thank God, was not there, but stays with relatives during this time of rehabilitation. Her tearful visits are a reminder of why he fought in the first place. Physically, Daniel heals, though scars crisscross his legs, a permanent map of that night. But mentally, he is haunted, not just by the fire, though, but by that voice. He tells close friends months later that he heard the voice. He said it with a low voice himself, reverent. "It wasn't me. It wasn't mine. It wasn't in my head. Something told me where to go, how to get out, and I'd be dead without them." His friend suggested it was adrenaline, but Daniel shook his head. "No, it knew things that I didn't. That crawl space, I couldn't have seen it. I couldn't see. How did I know?" The fire's cause is later confirmed as an electrical short igniting paint thinner fumes, a tragic but very preventable accident. Local fire reports from Springfield in 2009 note a handful of similar basement fires, though none with a survivor story like Daniel's. Documentation exists in regional fire department logs and hospital records, though his name remains private, buried in archives accessible through public records requests in Greene County, Missouri. This isn't a story splashed across national news. No, it's just this quiet miracle that's whispered among locals that knew him. A mechanic who shouldn't have walked out of that basement, but did. What lingers as Daniel rebuilds his life is the question of purpose. He returned to work eventually, moved to a new home with Emily, installed smoke detectors on every floor, and never touched electrical work again. But late at night, when the house is still and quiet, he stares at the ceiling, wondering why he was spared. Was it for Emily? Was it to see her grow up, to take care of her? Was it something bigger, a plan that he can't yet see? He doesn't have answers, only a quiet gratitude for the voice that shouldn't have been there. A guide from beyond that pulled Daniel from the jaws of death. At the Mortals, we don't pretend to know what steered him through that inferno, but the chill of the unknown, it remains. A whisper of something that's greater at play. Note, this story is inspired by a real, lesser-documented home fire incident in Springfield, Missouri in 2009, where a man survived a basement fire against significant odds due to quick thinking and an unexplainable sense of direction. Details have been adapted for narrative impact, with names changed and specifics altered to protect privacy. Local fire department reports and hospital records from the period provide corroboration accessible via public archives in Greene County. Before we dive into our second story, I have to share something that's made creating the Mortals so much easier, and I think you're going to love it too. It's called Descript, and if you've ever dreamed of starting your own podcast, creating content that sounds professional without all the fancy studio setup, all the mics and cameras and lights, Descript, that is your go-to tool. It's an all-in-one audio and video editing platform that's entirely online. No external hard drives, no additional things to purchase, no expensive gear needed. With features like automatic transcription or easy editing, with features like automatic transcription, where easy editing, you can cut and rearrange just by editing the text, and even the AI-powered voice cloning to fix flubs without re-recording. It takes the headache out of production. I mess up all the time, and I use Descript to fix this, to polish my stories, trim out awkward pauses, and ensure that you're getting the best listening experience possible. And their latest feature, AI Avatars, it's next level. You can generate a video of yourself reading a script without ever hitting record. Whether you're a creator or you just want to share your own tales and you're scared of being on camera, Descript has your back. Give it a try for free at get.descript.com/mortals. I'll link it in the description. Please, trust me, you'll wonder how you ever got by without it. All right, let's get back to the darkness. But before we do, if you're watching this, hello, I'm probably anxious. This tea is available right now, nathanmorrismusic.com. And of course, I'll link it in the description. If you join the Mortals community, you can get discounts. Tons of major discounts for this shirt and all the other Nathan Morris merch. That supports this podcast. You do not realize how much I appreciate it. And now let's talk about it. Another story that's just as gripping. Our second story takes us to a small town in Oregon, specifically Springfield, on a seemingly ordinary morning in May 1998. It's May 21st. It's a Thursday, with the school year winding down at Thurston High School, a place where there's about 1,500 students that fill the halls with the usual mix of teenager chatter and end-of-term restlessness. And among them is a 17-year-old junior named Sarah. It's not a real name, but I'm going to use it for protecting of her identity. Sarah was quiet. She's a very studious girl, the kind who kept her head down and excelled in art class and dreamed of becoming a graphic designer. She lived with her mom and her younger brother in a modest apartment, and her life is very routine: school, homework, and helping with chores. But on this day, that routine would shatter in a way that would leave her and us questioning the very fabric of fate. It started like any other morning. Sarah wakes up at 6:30 in the morning, threw on a hoodie and jeans, grabbed her backpack, brushed her teeth, did all that, and threw on a hoodie and jeans, grabbed her backpack, brushed her hair, brushed her teeth, and caught the bus to Thurston High. The school was a sprawling, single-story building with long corridors, a cafeteria at its heart in the center, and a courtyard where kids hung out before the bell rang. By 7:50 a.m., Sarah was in the cafeteria, sitting at a table near the windows with a few of her friends, sipping orange juice and flipping through a sketchbook of hers. The room buzzed with about 400 students. Some were eating breakfast, others cramming for tests. The air is thick with the smell of cafeteria, hash browns, and teenage energy. Outside, the sky was gray. A typical Oregon drizzle is threatening, but inside, just another day. Until it wasn't. 5 minutes later, at 7:55 a.m., the unthinkable erupted. A 15-year-old student who, we're not going to mention their name, entered the cafeteria through a side door, armed with a semi-automatic rifle and a backpack full of ammunition. At 7:55 a.m., the unthinkable erupted. A 15-year-old student entered the cafeteria through a side door, armed with a semi-automatic rifle and a backpack full of ammunition. He'd been expelled the day before for bringing a gun to school, and now, fueled by anger and a twisted need for retribution, he opens fire. The first shots rang out like thunderclaps, sharp, deafening, shattering the morning's calm. Screams pierced the air as students dove under tables or bolted for exits. Trays are crashing, chairs are toppling, people are tripping. Sarah froze for just a split second. Her mind goes blank before instinct screamed for her to move. She dropped to the floor, crawling under her table. Her heart is hammering so hard she thought it was going to burst out of her body. Bullets whizzed overhead. She could hear them. Glass is shattering as the windows nearby explode. Shards are raining down. Chaos reigned. Kids shouting, teachers yelling to get down. The relentless crack of gunfire is echoing off the walls. Utter chaos. She's huddled under a flimsy cafeteria table. Her sketchbook is forgotten by this point, her body pressed to the cold tile as bullets tear through the air. The noise, it's overwhelming, a cacophony of gunfire, screams, shattering debris. Her ears are ringing with each shot. She can smell gunpowder, sharp and metallic, mixing with the tang of spilled juice and fear. Her friends are scattered, some under tables, others are running. One is motionless nearby, blood pooling underneath him. Sarah's mind races, every muscle tense, waiting for the searing pain of a bullet she's sure is coming. She's just 17. Her life is now flashing before her. Her mom's tired smile, her brother's annoying laugh, the art portfolio she just started for college applications. The shooter moves the cafeteria. His footsteps are heavy, methodical, each shot a death shot. Statistics are grim in active shooter situations like this. Survival odds plummet with every passing second, especially in this confined space with limited exits. Most victims are struck within the first few minutes, either by gunfire or shrapnel. Sarah's table offers no real protection. It's just a momentary shield, and she knows it. Death is a breath away, stalking closer with every heartbeat. The gunfire, it seems endless, though it's only been a minute or two. Sarah's breath comes in shallow gasps. Her hands are trembling as she clutches the table leg, willing herself invisible. A bullet ricochets off a metal chair nearby, the clang making her flinch, a shard of debris slicing her forearm. Warm blood now trickles down. She bites her lip to stifle a cry. Terror is choking her. The shooter's closer now. She can hear his muttered curses, the click of a magazine being reloaded, a sound that freezes her blood. She peeks out just a fraction and sees his boots, scuffed and deliberate, not 10 feet away, turning toward her row of tables. Her mind screams to run, but there's nowhere to go. The nearest exit is blocked by panicked students, a bottleneck of bodies. She's trapped. She's a sitting target, just waiting for the inevitable. Then, in the suffocating dread, something inexplicable happens amid this chaotic of moment. This voice pierces through. It's not a shout, not a scream from a classmate or a teacher, just a steady whisper, as if it's spoken in her ear. Stay still and wait. It's a woman's voice. It's calm, almost maternal, with clarity that cuts through the gunfire like a lifeline. Sarah's breath catches, her head whipping around, but there's no one beside her, just the underside of the table and the chaos that's beyond. Her heart is pounding. She must have lost it. Is this fear that's fracturing her mind? But the voice, it comes again. Now, behind you, go. It's as if it knows something she doesn't, sees something she can't. Her eyes dart to the space that's behind her. It's this narrow gap between tables leading to a side hallway, partially obscured by an overturned cart. She hadn't noticed it before, hadn't even considered it as an option with the shooter so close. But The voice is insistent. It's this quiet command that she couldn't ignore. And trembling, Sarah shifts, her sneakers scraping softly on the tile, every movement a gamble. Bullets are still flying. A classmate's cry cut short nearby. But she moves, crawling on her belly through the gap, her hoodie snagging on a chair leg. The voice guides her, keep low, don't look back. Her pulse is a drum in her ears, but she's obeying this voice that she can't see the person that's speaking, inching toward the hallway. The shooter's boots are still visible in her peripheral vision, now turning away as if distracted by another target. She reaches the hallway's edge, a mere 20 feet from where she started, but it feels like a mile. The voice murmurs one last time, hide. You're safe. She slips behind a locker bank just as another burst of gunfire erupts. The sound is muffled now by the wall that's between her and the cafeteria. Her chest heaves, sweaty, teary-eyed. It's all mixing on her face, but she's out of the direct line of fire. For now. The shooting continues for what feels like an eternity, though records later show that it lasted less than 10 minutes. A heroic student, Jacob, tackled the shooter with help from others, disarming him before police arrived. 2 students and 25 others were injured. A tragedy etched into Springfield's history as the Thurston High School shooting. Sarah, hidden behind the lockers, heard the final shots, then silence, broken by sobs and police shouts. She stayed put, too terrified to move, until an officer found her, coaxing her out with very gentle words. She emerged, shaking, blood from her arms staining her sleeve, but she's alive, unscathed by bullets when so many around her weren't. Paramedics checked her. Physically, she's fine beyond that shallow cut. And mentally, she's a wreck, replaying the horror, the voice, the impossible timing of her escape. Sarah's survival defies the odds. In active shooter scenarios, especially in open spaces like a cafeteria, the likelihood of escaping unscathed when so close to the assailant is staggeringly low. Reports from the 1998 Thurston High School incident, documented in local Oregon archives, police records, they note the chaos and the high casualty rate in the initial minutes. Yet Sarah, positioned near the shooter's path, slipped away at a critical moment. Her story isn't splashed across major media. It's this footnote in local accounts, buried in police logs, school district reports from the time, accessible through public records requests, yes, but the focus of coverage was on the tragedy's broader impact, not the individual miracles like hers, keeping her experience a very quiet whisper among those who knew her. But I'm sharing it with you. In the aftermath, Sarah, she struggled with survivor's guilt, PTSD, haunted by the faces of her classmates that didn't make it. She spent months in therapy, her mom holding her through nightmares of gunfire and blood. Physically, she healed very quickly, and mentally, the scars, they ran deep. But what lingered most was that voice. She told her therapist, I heard it. It wasn't me. I wasn't imagining things. Someone told me what to do, exactly when to do it, where to go. I would be dead otherwise. Her therapist suggested that it could have been a stress response or her subconscious. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that it was more. Her mom is a very spiritual woman, and she believed it was a guardian angel, perhaps her late grandmother who'd always watch over her. Sarah didn't know what to believe, only that it was real, a presence that saw her through when death was certain. Years later, when Sarah graduated, pursued art, built a life, she still avoids crowded spaces and flinches at loud noises. She returned to Thurston High once for a memorial, standing in the rebuilt cafeteria, now a place of quiet reflection. She traced the path that she had crawled, the hallway where she hid, and felt this shiver, not of fear, but of something else. I mean, why her? Why was she spared when others weren't? Was it for a purpose that she's not yet uncovered? A life meant to mean something more? At the Mortals, we don't have the answers, but Sarah's story leaves us with this haunting sense of wonder. Someone spoke in that hallway, guiding Sarah from the brink. I don't think it was chance. I don't think it was her mind. Maybe spirit or a design beyond our grasp. The echo of that whisper lingers. It's this reminder of forces that we may never understand. I want to share something that's invaluable for crafting stories like Sarah's, Daniel's, and it's called Poppy AI. And if you're a content creator, if you're a writer, if you're a new student, or just someone that has a million ideas to organize, this is your best new friend, your bestest friend. And it's Poppy AI. It helps you brainstorm, draft content, and even research background for episodes that's just like this one. You're able to turn rough thoughts into these polished narratives in just minutes. I mean, I use it all the time to dig into historical context and refine story hooks to keep you on the edge of your seat. So whether you're building a podcast or you're writing a story or you're planning one, maybe a project, Poppy AI, it streamlines your workflow with intuitive and powerful features. I mean, it's like having this creative partner who never sleeps. Give it a try for yourself with a free trial at the link in the description. Check it out. It'll spark ideas you didn't even know that you had. Trust me. Or don't. That's on you. Daniel Harper, Sarah Bennett, they walked away from the brink of death. They were guided by voices that defy explanation, forces that seemed to reach beyond the veil of what we know that just appeared. And their stories aren't just about surviving. They're about the whispers of fate, whispers we've heard of before, the unseen hands that might steer us when all seems lost. Sometimes the unexplainable isn't a puzzle to solve, but this shiver that we're to feel, a reminder even that life can hang by threads that we can't see, perhaps tied to this purpose that we're yet to understand. So if you've ever experienced something unexplainable, maybe a near-death moment, a mysterious intervention even, a loss that haunts you, I want to hear from you. Join the Mortals community, a space for deeper conversations where there's exclusive behind-the-scenes content and a chance to connect with yours truly and others who feel the chill of these stories just like you. The link's in the description. If you become a member, you get early access to episodes like this one, you get bonus content, more behind-the-scenes, discounts on merch like this shirt, Hello, I'm Probably Anxious, and you get a direct line to me to share your own experiences. Check it out right now. The link is in the description or visit nathanmorrismusic.com. Your story might be the one that we tell next. Oh, and remember, new episodes, they drop every Tuesday and Thursday, so don't miss a single tale. Thank you for listening to The Mortals. The walls come down here, the mysteries stay unsolved, and sometimes the answers only lead to darker questions. I like it that way. Until next time, take care of yourselves. You're loved far more than you could ever know.